Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Hey, and good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to catch our drift. Joining me in studio, Ed Bonderenka.
Hey, good Saturday afternoon.
You were running a little late. I'm glad you made it in.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, what we do on the drift every Saturday is go over the news that we put on the Daily Drift. It's
the news you need to know.
See how easy that is?
Yeah.
All I got to do is look at me and we're good, right?
Well, that hand kind of like pointing at me like you're on.
That helps, right? Yes, absolutely. So, let's take care of a little business. And if you want to email in to Gary@thedailydrift.com, you're welcome to. And we're on talkamericaradio.us tonight and tomorrow night in the evenings. And you can always find us on Spreaker and SoundCloud and YouTube. And, of course, always archived at thedailydrift.com.
Yeah.
So.
Facebook.
Okay, well, let's take care of a little business. Dalton Environmental Cleaning, if you are looking to get your air ducts cleaned before winter and you turn on that furnace, call Dalton's, 1-877-DALTONS. That's 877-DALTONS. And they've got a $25 off coupon in the Current newspaper, COURANT online.com, currentonline.com. So let's make sure we do that. And let's say, let's bring in our special guest. I'm very excited.
I know that.
Yes, we've got Kaya Jones calling in. And Kaya, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, it worked.
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, well, I'm so glad we've been talking with Patricia and finally get you to come on. And yeah, super excited. And I want to say, number one, I want to say thank you, because I know in your business you are an entertainer, a singer, an entrepreneur. You do all these things in Hollywood and Vegas and in the music industry. And for you to put yourself out there as an openly conservative person is huge. Yes. And I want to thank you for that, because you know what?
Oh.
Yeah, it takes a lot to come out, and because it sometimes costs you a contract, right?
It can, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm going to give you a few minutes here because, some of our listeners we're conservative radio stations, so I'm not sure a lot of our listeners will know who you are. But
right.
Do you want to give a quick bio of yourself? Are you comfortable doing that?
Perhaps if you changed.
I'm never comfortable with talking about oneself. Oh my God. No, it just feels like you're gloating. It's like, no.
No, you're not gloating, because you know what? You are an accomplished, you started out very young. At like the age of 12, you were an accomplished violinist, right?
Yes, I started violin at 4. Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
So I've been doing it a long time. all of this music stuff, yeah.
Yep, and then as you got into your teens, you ended up getting picked up by R. Kelly, who's like one of the major pop stars in the world.
Yes, and no, he did not pee on me. He's a stand-up person. He's not weird at all. But I have to go ahead and say that, because he's had a lot of flack, and I've never experienced anything of the sort with him. He was a really good guy. So.
Yeah, well, that's what the leftists like to do, right? They like to tear people down. That Russian Trump dossier was the same thing, trying to say Donald Trump was into crazy things like that. It's just absolutely nonsense. So I'm glad you cleared that up for us.
It's media, you know what I mean? It's media, and that's kind of why I think it's great that he's standing up to media, because media has, definitely been manipulative. I mean, look what happened with Princess Diana. I mean, where does the line end where you give people their peace?
Yep.
So it's not just R. Kelly. It's not just Michael Jackson. I actually still have a magazine from the week before Michael Jackson died, and I saved them because I thought it was just the most hypocrisy. I never bought the magazine again. It was the week before he died. It was Wacko Jacko.
Yes.
And the following week, like literally he died, it was, in memoriam, like he's a genius and all of this stuff. And I'm going, wow, like, 1 week ago, he would have really loved to have heard that before he died. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter after the fact. You guys are just not cool. And so, Britney Spears has gone through it. There's so many artists that go through it that I think it's kind of nice to watch what he's doing, because we are aware of it.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that we need them to promote our material or what we're doing, we get manipulated. And so it was really nice when he started, calling out mainstream media, because it was just for everyone in media that knows how manipulative it is. we were happy to hear that.
Yeah, and I think we as the American public are now starting to finally realize just how twisted and distorted and destructive the mainstream media, the leftists are in doing this. I mean, I just on Twitter a moment before the show, this Jason Kessler, right, the guy who started the Unite the Right, the white supremacists, and we all know now, right, because it's come out in Gateway Pundit, that a year ago he was a Democrat. He got rid of his liberal girlfriend because she wasn't liberal enough. He's lived with people of color before, right, as roommates, and now all of a sudden he's a white supremacist ginning things up, and he's trying to make it look like he's a big Trump supporter. Well, we all know he's not, right? And this is what they do. So it's just absolutely disgusting how the media and the leftists like to just rip apart, destroy, and manipulate people.
They really do. They really, really do. I don't think people understand how much they control a lot of what they see, and and everything that you watch and hear. I mean, same thing in the music industry. It's the same 10 songs you hear every hour on the hour.
Yeah.
There's never any new songs that you don't know about or artists that you haven't heard about. And I mean, that's manipulation. There's no way around that.
So, Kaya, get back to telling us more about yourself and how you actually came to a conservative position.
Well, I started really young in the industry and always had a good moral code about me. Didn't realize I was a conservative. My family wasn't involved in the industry, so it wasn't something that, I didn't have a momager or anything like that. I had handlers, literally, that would take care of me, and so I thought that I was just weird because I was never okay with a lot of it. I just felt that it was just very, very not safe for a young artist like myself and not cool. And then when I joined the Pussycat Dolls, which I was 18 when I joined, 17 when I did the audition, I thought, okay, this is great. This is going to be like another, version of the Spice Girls. And it definitely turned out to not be that.
Yeah, was it, so you're saying it was a little more distorted Hollywood-wise? They were kind of playing up the sex end of it more?
Yeah, I mean, it was more on the back end of it. There were so many moving compartments, at the time that it wasn't just one thing. There were so many things. But it came down to me, the defining moment was Divas Live in Vegas at MGM Grand Garden Arena. We were performing, and I was to come through the audience with one of the other performers as well from the Pussycat Dolls. She's a singer-dancer as well. She and I were coming through the audience, and the rest of the girls were coming up on a riser onto the stage. And, we were performing, right after we did our set, we were performing with Tom Jones, and Patti LaBelle was wailing on stage, and so amazing. And I just been told how fat I was and how all of this, and just horrible if you knew what was going on behind the scenes. And
wait, they said you were fat?
Oh, no, I mean, I would literally get verbal abuse every day and midnight phone calls about what I ate.
What?
What I ate that day.
Yes.
Literally what I ate that day. We heard you had a cheese with omelet. You can't have cheese. Have you not seen your body? No, I'm real. You can't even write this stuff. You know what I mean? It's so ridiculous.
Oh my! Because you are there's just no way. When I look at you and I remember
now because I'm healthy and I'm me and I'm controlling my career. I'm about 20 pounds bigger than I was at the time. I mean, I was emaciatedly thin. Just really training every day and working out every day and dancing every day and performing every day. When we were owned, so we didn't make any of that money,
Right.
So at the time, I was told all of these horrible things under the stage, and that I looked like I had pieces sewn on my butt. That was, but she used another word.
Excuse me a second. Are these your handlers telling you this? Did I miss?
Oh no, this is the owner of the group, the den mother from hell that we all had. And so these two little girls in the front row. One was 4, and the other one maybe 7 or 8, and the little 4-year-old just looked up and said, "Oh, you're a Pussycat Doll." She was just so excited, and I just felt gutted. I just knew that then, in that moment, I couldn't do this because she wanted to be this, and if parents really knew what we were, not in front of the camera, it's okay to be, a strong, powerful girl and, say that you're sexy and look sexy and, especially in that age and that time, where you're a teenager going into your early 20s, that's kind of what girls want to do. They want to show that they're pretty and, kind of own their power. And so it wasn't that I wasn't okay with, even though that to a certain degree, I had my mixed emotions about it. It was more about the abuse behind the scenes.
Right.
And it was, I still have, I still am working on things that were, seeds that were planted, into me at a very young age, that affected all of the women. I mean, and all of the girls went through their own form of abuse, but it was constant abuse. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what the media has kind of done to young ladies of today, right? They've pushed this narrative that you have to be thin and skinny and perfect all the time.
It wasn't just that, though. It was everything across the board. It was from your weight to who you dated to what you did to, never being allowed to take a day off. I had a doctor visit and I nearly got fired. It was just so much control, and control to the point where you are owned and you are a slave. And, you realize that, and you were making a lot of people money, and you have to then make a decision for yourself. Is this what you want to do? And I made that decision really pretty early on in. I was only 2.5 years into the group, and we were in the middle of launching in a mega way. I'd done music with them and agreed that I would finish and complete what I needed to do for the music. And, I wasn't going to get credit on anything. I knew that at the time. And I still did it, and everyone said I was crazy. But I just held to my convictions because my soul wasn't for sale and all of this. And
that's the phrase that was going. That's the phrase that was going through my mind. The next question I was going to ask you: you can buy your soul back from the devil?
No. Well, you can refuse to work for him any longer.
Yeah.
Cool. You can refuse to and take your power back in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That strikes a huge parallel for me, because when I hear that kind of a story, right, and it's personal and it's you and it's that group and that corporation, but I also look at that as a micro look of what we see today in the United States, because you know what? Here's the government, the leftists, trying to own and control and enslave people the same way by offering them money and entitlements.
You can't drink that 32-ounce soda.
That's right.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And each girl, that's the thing. Each one had their thing. One was, you don't have any boobs, so she had to go get a breast job. One was, your skin is too bad, and she wasn't allowed to appear in store when we were selling makeup and doing things. Because,
that's terrible.
She was told her, no. Yeah. When I say it was abusive, I mean just that. I don't mean that it was, one and one, or a couple moments here and there. I mean, it was continuous stuff, and what we were paid, and, just not having any artistic integrity. And I think because I come from, working with R. Kelly, who is so a stickler about, your voice, and then working, in a development deal at Capitol Records with Julian Raymond and Andy Slater, and working with real live guys, live musicians that played with everybody, and kind of building my sea legs to then jump into this very manufactured thing that was so distorted, it just felt so wrong. And so then I had to kind of go on this journey on finding who I was, and in that time, making those mistakes and still not feeling fulfilled, and going into EDM music, which has, been my genre and my love for a long time, because everything was just very happy in that dance music side of the fence, and I was able to have success in Europe and perform and all of that, but still did not feel fulfillment. And, 2 years ago, I kind of just decided that if I'm going to sing again, I'd have to do something really, really pure and raw. And then, watching all of the insanity of the election and the race, and having, Joy Villa, who's one of my good friends, who wore the Make America Great Again dress to the Grammys. We connected on the Grammy carpet, and I just thanked her and said, "I'm so proud of you," whispered in her ear. And she said, "You voted Trump?" And I said, "Yeah, I voted Trump." And she was like, "We don't have to hide anymore." So we literally are crying. It was hilarious if you were watching us, because we're like in the sidelines of the carpet. We'd finished the carpet, and we're like crying, going like, "We don't have to hide anymore."
That's so, right. Yeah, well,
yeah, it was emotional, and then she had no one coming out for her support. So they asked me, she and Andre Soriano, who made the dress, and Andre has made my 2014 Grammy dress. We've all been friends, and none of us knew we voted for Trump. That's how serious. You couldn't even discuss your emotions on what you felt, or what you were going to do. And they said, "Can you come out?" And I thought, if I can't come out for my friends and myself, like, I'm a hypocrite as an artist. And I put my photo of wearing my Trump shirt I'd bought from the year before. Last year when I was in Washington, D.C., I'd bought this shirt, and I was never able to wear it because I literally was scared.